Do you ever find yourself doom scrolling through presets, searching for the right sound, but you're just never able to quite find what you're looking for? Or maybe after you've put together a complete arrangement, you realize, hey, all my sounds don't really sound like they fit together. Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 awesome sound selection tips so you always have the perfect sounds you're looking for. Hi, I'm Reagan Ram, and this is the Musician's Odyssey podcast, a fellow traveler's guide past the sea monsters and giants on your music career quest. And today we are looking at sound selection. And real quick, be sure to grab my free mixing checklist in the description below. This walks you through a proven step-by-step system for producing pro-quality, radio-worthy songs each and every time from your home studio, so you're not finding yourself mixing endlessly over and over again in circles, which means you can finish more music faster. Again, this is completely free. Get it in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/mixing checklist. All right, sound selection tip number 1 is to reference. So think about what songs are going to be similar to the song you're creating, right? And a lot of artists are like, oh, I'm so unique. No one sounds like me. No other artist sounds like me. Really? I mean, are you using drums? Are you using bass? Are you using keys? Are you using guitars? Guess what? A lot of other songs use those same sounds. So think about what other songs have maybe some similar sounding elements, some similar sounding bass, some similar sounding drums, keys, what have you, and use those as your reference points and listen to those songs and think, what kind of bass do they have? Is it deep and rumbly sub bass, or is it more of a buzzy, stabbier bass? Or are they using lush pads, or just maybe some faint keys that are almost barely there? Are they using really subtle claps for their snares, or are they using really big, almost gunshot sounding snares with gated reverb on them? So listen to the different elements of these songs that you really like, you really enjoy, and you want to make that similar style of music, and then think, how can I go about creating those similar sounds? Sound selection tip number 2 is to think about, what vibe are you going for? Is it going to be sad? If so, try finding some dark sounds. Maybe you want to use some melancholy piano chords using a really dark sound. Or is it you're going for more of like a futuristic sound? Can you maybe search through your sound mix for the weirdest sound you can find and build your track around that? So think about, like, what is kind of the core sound maybe that you want to build the rest of your track around. Find that sound and then use that as your chorus or your fundamental foundation for your song. Sound selection tip number 3 is to now add what's missing. So once you have your chords in place, or your awesome sound that you're going to build the rest of your track around, just add in all the elements and think, about filling out that frequency spectrum, right? You have to have something to fill that sub bass, or those bass frequencies, all the way up to those, highs or the brilliance section of your frequency spectrum. So when you go about adding in other instruments, you want to think about adding sounds in terms of 3 different categories. So number 1 is kind of your foundation element. That's going to be your leads, your melody. This is what people think about when they think of your song, is the melody. It's what gets stuck in their head. So this is the most important part. So whatever lead sound you're going to use, make sure it's a really interesting sound and it's playing an interesting melody. And that is kind of going to be the foundation of your song. And then you're going to build everything else around that. This doesn't mean you have to start with your melody, but you want to make sure that when you do create your melody, that everything else supports it. And so then from there, other elements you want to add are going to be supporting elements. So this is where you bring in your bass, your drums, any other chord sounds you want, like layers. Then, of course, your lead sounds, and we already mentioned, and then any other counter leads or counter melodies that you want to add playing. So those could be like arpeggiators or other little background melodies that play to support your main melody. And then the final category is just kind of decorative stuff. So this could be like sound effects. These could be fills, just ear candy that you want to add into your track to fill it out, make it sound richer and more interesting. Sound selection tip number 4 is to use sound banks, or use sounds from the same synth. So a lot of sound banks I like to use are Serum preset packs by Synth Control. I'm friends with the creator of these, and he makes really awesome sounds. I use these all the time in my tracks. I'll share a link to those in the description below. And by the way, you can actually get 20% off all of his preset packs when you use my code OAA20 at checkout. So If you like creating retro electronic music, definitely check out his Serum preset packs. Another guy I like who creates really cool sound banks and presets is Echo Soundworks. I'm also an affiliate of his. I'll link to him in the description below. But you can also just use similar sound banks inside of synths you already have. For example, a really awesome synth that I like is the BA1 by Baby Audio, and it already has some awesome sound banks built inside of it. And so I know these are all sounds that will sound really good together. And so this goes the same for if any synths that you already have built into your DAW, right? Any free synths you want to use, maybe you use a lot of sounds from that same synth in your song, and that way they all kind of have the same similar vibe and feel. Now for my next and final tip, I'll share with you how you can get any collection of sounds to sound really awesome together. But before I do, if you've received value from this video, go ahead and click the like button and share with me in the comments below what is a really cool sound you would like to know how to create yourself. Let me know in the comments what cool sound you'd like to create, and I'll maybe create a sound design tutorial in the future on how to make that sound. Now before I share with you my next and final tip for getting any collection of sounds to sound amazing together, if you've received value from this video, go ahead and click the like button and let me know in the comments below what is a cool sound that you'd like to be able to create yourself. Let me know in the comments and I'll see about creating a future sound design tutorial on how to make that sound. All right, the final sound selection tip for making your arrangements, your songs sound great and all your instruments flow and sound great together is mixing. Yes, I know it might seem obvious, but with proper mixing, you can make really any group of sounds sound good together. And this is through applying things like EQ. This is a big one, giving every sound, every instrument its own space in the mix so things aren't overlapping with each other, things aren't clashing with each other, right? Maybe use more advanced techniques like sidechain compression so that when one sound is playing, another sound ducks in volume. So these are different, there's all kinds of different mixing tips that you can apply to make your sounds sound good together, right? Also, this could involve applying the same effects across all your different tracks. So one thing you might want to do is set up like a room reverb on a bus, and you apply a small amount of that same room reverb to all of your tracks. That way everything sounds like it's in the same room and it was all played together. Another thing you can do is apply group processing. So this is how you can really glue your different tracks together and make them sound like they fit together. So you can have a drum bus. So all your drum tracks feed one track, and then on that track you apply some EQ, you apply some compression, maybe some saturation, which is subtle distortion, along with some subtle compression. So it kind of glues everything together. Same thing with your vocals, same thing with your leads, same thing with your chords or any rhythm tracks you have. That way you can make everything feel cohesive and like it fits together. And if you want a step-by-step system for how to do this, how to go about mixing your songs so that everything sounds clear and coherent and professional, then be sure to grab my free mixing checklist in the description below or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/mixing checklist. Now, if you want to see a video where I actually demonstrate how I go about writing a song and choosing sounds, then be sure to click the video playing on the screen right now. With that, have an awesome day and keep creating.